What is going on, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar. Thank you for joining me for this last minute, kind of put together episode that what I'm going to do. I'm not doing this by myself. I am waiting for my co-host, the Omnibus Collector himself, Riley Moore, to join me. So we'll give him a couple more minutes while he sets up his stuff, his equipment, whatever. How's everybody doing while we're waiting on him? Hope everybody's having a good Saturday, I guess, evening, morning, night, depending on what part of this world you are in. So, yes, Riley is the reason I joined the Facebook group years ago. He used to do a lot of videos online, and he kind of slowed down, and now he's just doing things like manga. But I wanted to get him in here because this is the kind of things that I love talking about. I love thinking about. I think about these things all the time. So before we get started, I want to say I don't have any of the solicitations. I don't have the content. I don't have the prices. I don't have the pictures for the covers. So this is why I wanted to talk to you all. So it's going to be open, like to the forum or to the chat. So we're going to do one at a time to talk about like what could possibly be collected in here. And I think it's a lot of fun because like I do this stuff by myself all the time. And I love to do it with the same kind of people that share this passion with me. Um, so, hey, I'm sorry. How's everybody doing? I see everybody. I see people from London. That's awesome. I see people from Australia. I see people all the way from Ohio. Represent Dayton, Ohio. Um, and Rick Nelson. No Omni Dog today, Rick Nelson. It's supposed to be Riley, so I'm waiting on him. Um, so yeah, we're gonna be talking about X-Men because this is the kind of stuff that thank you so much, Foxy Foxtrot. That yeah, we talk about on the side, but we never really get a chance to talk about it. Uh, he likes mapping these things out too, so it's really cool to have him on. So while we wait on him, yeah, what are you all most excited about? Which of these new omnis, these 15 omnis, and I guess the Conan the Barbarian, the Kurt Busiek omnibus, that's kind of a new omnibus too, but I wanted to keep it in the reprint section because it's not new omnibus material, but it's new to Marvel. So I hope y'all are excited about these. I know some people are some people are disappointed with some of the reprints, but this is just the beginning. I mean, 2020 is going to be a huge year for not just reprints but omnis. I mean, if you look at just September alone, when we put the schedule up on our social media, it's crazy. It's crazy how many omnis we're getting. And as opposed to like the one or two omnis reprints we used to get a year, and we were lucky to get something new. Like I think New X-Men was reprinted 3 times. This is huge. So I mean, alone in the fourth quarter, we're getting 7 reprints. So this is a big deal. Let me holler at him one more time. Let's see what he is. So, yeah, I want to know what you all are most excited about. Which one of these 15 new Omnis are you most excited for? 2020 is the year of the reprint. Absolutely. It's a great time for new people to start getting into this hobby. I think Marvel knows that now. I think they get a better understanding of how much these reprints mean to people. I mean, we'll just use the example of Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis, Omnibus Volume 1. It's not out of print, it's just out of stock. So a lot of people are having a hard time finding it. So it's a pretty neat thing that Marvel just released all these. And just like that, they're going in about a week or so. And then, there'll be more. There's more in the Diamond Warehouse. So it's not like it's out of print. Riley better show up. He's the one that got me into the hobby. He got a lot of people into the hobby, really. And it's hard because our schedules never really match. So today I was like, I'm not going to go out. Let's just do this. Wait a minute. Somebody's speaking to my own heart right there. I'm looking forward to Power Pack and those X-Men reprints. What is up, Brian? Power Pack. Hell yeah. Thought there was just a handful of us that were really excited for that. So I am also excited for you because Power Pack was awesome. There's Louise Simonson, man. Some really good stuff in those early issues. X-Men is super hot. It's my favorite series. So Marvel pumping out the reprints and new ones are amazing. Absolutely. Not only just Uncanny X-Men Volume 4, right? Probably the most I'm excited about, because I can't hide. I knew that would be the one that I'm excited for. But I mean, we're also getting New Mutants, and we're getting Uncanny X-Men, or I'm sorry, New Mutants and Excalibur. Those two are the ones we're gonna get. So those are huge, and both of those have been released in an epic format, but never like this, never in an omnibus format. And part of me was like, well, maybe because the movie got canceled, there's no way they're gonna release an omnibus. But um, oh, sorry, I got a message from Riley. He's saying he'll be right on. He had a work emergency to take care of really quick. So okay. We'll wait for him before we get started. The first one we're going to talk about is Venom Omnibus Volume 3, by the way. We'll go down this list, and together with you all, we can talk about what you all think is going to be on there and what we think. So get your gears turning in there for Venom Omnibus Volume 3, which I find pretty interesting that they're doing that. I really thought they would go straight into Ven Omnibus Rick Remender, which I don't think we'll see any of the Rick Remender stuff here, but I'm curious to see what you all think and what Riley thinks, too. All right. What's the reprint that surprised you the most? By the way, knowing this stuff ahead of time, it's really hard for me because my wife can tell you I'm really good at keeping secrets, but it just eats me up when I can't let it out because I have to literally wait for David from Marvel to be like, okay, go ahead. It's cool to let people know. Um, what's the one that surprised you the most out of all the reprints? And yes, 2021 might be the year of the Spider-Man omnibus reprints, considering they just reprinted Volume 1, and now we need Volume 2, 3, the Roger Stern stuff. Well, no, they also reprinted. Didn't they reprint the McFarlane and David Michelini? So that one got reprinted. So we'll need the Eric Larson and the Todd McFarlane omnibus. Rick Nelson, Jim Lee omnibus surprised him the most. That was voted number 1 when I did the poll on my on our social media. That was voted number 1. Infinity Gauntlet was voted number 2. And I want to say Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four was voted number 3. So, I mean, Marvel's listening, so who knows what 2021 will bring us. I'd love to see all the Venom series released in chronological order, so Donny Cates' run may be Venomnibus Volume 5 or 6. Yeah, and by the time they get there, it might be done, right? He might be done with the series. That'd be kind of cool. X-Men, Jim Lee, 1 and 2 shocked everyone in my Facebook group the most. Yeah, it's a big deal because a lot of people respect, like, they were just really, there was no way it was going to be reprinted. That's what everybody kept saying because we just had that Jim Lee XXL. So most people were discouraged by that. They were like, why would they print this run in such a big book? Now it's going to ruin the reprints. Oh, now I'm going to have to wait years before that's reprinted. And one thing I've said, because one of the questions I had personally when the X-Men box set was announced, which comes out next month, by the way, I'm so hyped for that, is that the chances of an omnibus being reprinted doesn't really, like, those things coming out don't really affect those omnis getting reprinted. Just because we had an X-Men Jim Lee XXL, and I've said this on the channel before, didn't mean that there goes any chance of X-Men XX or X-Men by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont being reprinted. So that's good. And just like that box set, people were worried that, oh, that box set is obviously replacing Omnibus Volumes 2, 1 and 2 and 3. So there's no chance those are getting reprinted. And that wasn't the case. David was like, no, doesn't affect it. So there you go. All right, everybody. Let's welcome this guy in here.
What's up, my man?
What's up, man?
Did you talk about the books
Dude,
that I don't
have?
What'd you do?
No. I haven't done anything yet.
No?
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. I think I just keep cutting you off.
No, you don't. It's good. So welcome, everybody. This is the Omnibus Collector himself. What do you even go by these days? You do go by the Omnibus Collector. Awesome.
I change it. I make a joke and like a pun every single time we do videos on the Omni live, but I figured that you would probably want me to have my my proper birth name on here
Okay,
for
this is
this
the
one.
one that your mom gave you, huh?
Yeah, my mom, as soon as I popped out, was like, looks like an Omnibus Collector to me.
She didn't even know what an omnibus was unless she was Latina and riding those omnibuses, right?
I
Because
mean,
that's what we call buses in Latin America.
she, to be fair, she was. I mean, she is. So could
She
be, could
still
be.
is. All
Yeah,
right.
she was and is.
So Riley and I have a show we do together on where we join other omnibus collectors, and it's called Omnibros. And I'm on every Monday. Riley's on. He tries to get on every Monday and Thursday, I think. But he's been at this game. He had a YouTube channel. I mean, he still does, even though it was hacked for a while. Where
It
he
still is hacked.
Oh, really? I thought you got that straightened out.
I thought I did too.
So I have been wanting to do an episode just like this with him since I joined Omnibros, but I think our paths never met and things like that. And because both of
Yeah.
us really have a passion for these things, and both of us love just daydreaming about mapping these things out. So
Yes.
let's get started. People have been waiting,
Yes.
and I can only stall so long. All right. We're going to talk about Venom Omnibus Volume 3. So everybody in the chat, please join in. Tell us we're wrong, whatever. I'd
Turn
love
to
to know.
page 362. We'll be talking about Venom Omnibus.
Venom Omnibus Volume 3. What do you think is going to be collected on there?
Well, obviously the two others collected the whole ongoing series of minis, about 60 or so issues of mini series and one shots. So my first thought on this one is basically the biggest chunk of Venom after those was Daniel Way's Venom. 18 issues. It was didn't really feature Venom. It was the symbiote doing weird stuff. It kind of was a story that was the play on the Thing. Scotty Young had some early art in there.
Beautiful Sam Keith covers too.
Yeah, it was a mostly very well drawn book with a very meh story. But I'm assuming that that's going to make up the bulk, at least maybe half of this book. The rest of it, I don't know if maybe some appearances of Venom from the Spider-Man comics around the time. There was that mini series that happened a little bit later, I think in the early aughts, Dark Origin.
Yeah,
maybe that's in there. Maybe the Venom versus Carnage miniseries from Milligan.
The 2004 series. So the only thing I added that could make any sense in there to kind of, because when we're looking at the Daniel Way run, we're looking at 576 pages. We still need more. I mean, we don't, right? But we do. We need about 300 or so more pages. So one of the things that I thought would be cool to put in there, and it's actually in continuity, even though they said it wasn't, was that Mark Millar Hush series, the Marvel Knights Spider-Man. Right.
The one where the symbiote passes to that random dude for a second and then goes to Matt Gargan.
Matt Gargan, right. So I think that's important because later on, like through Dark Avengers and things like that, it's Matt Gargan as the symbiote. And it's also important, I'm not going to spoil something, but this is where Eddie and the symbiote separate.
Right.
And I think, that in the Dark Reign series, I think that could flesh it out to about 900, 1,000 pages. Especially if you're including the 12 issues of the Marvel Knights Mark Millar Spider-Man.
Do you think it'd be the whole 12 issues in there?
I don't know. I think Venom was in it, for 3 issues, I think?
Because it's not 100% focused on Venom is the thing.
No, it's a villain each issue, or 2 villains per issue, right?
God, I'm trying to look for it on my shelf. I know, it's somewhere here.
It's in your forgotten pile, as well as it should be. It wasn't the best story. Oh, somebody's saying the Anti-Venom series.
That's another thing I was going to mention is whenever Anti-Venom was introduced in that one story by Dan Slott, The New Ways to Die, that could be a good one as well. And I think that this could be a good transitionary type of omnibus that brings us between the classic miniseries series
all the way up
to Flash. Yeah. So that would be really awesome. And then I would hope that they have enough steam with this stuff to continue and give us a Flash omnibus with Flash Thompson's Venom run by Rick Remender. And maybe further, because that stuff was freaking great.
So I think I'm with Jango Fett. I added the Dark Reign Spider-Man series, the Sinister Spider-Man. It's a 4-issue 2009
Yeah,
series.
the one where it's Matt Gargan during when he was a Dark Avenger,
Yeah,
and he's acting
exactly.
like he's Spider-Man,
I think
but
that
then
would
he's a
be a
little bit
good.
too.
That would be an excellent place for that series, and like I
Yeah,
said, it fleshes that out. And you're right; it wouldn't be all 12 issues of the MK um,
maybe
series.
just
I
like
think it would probably be
material
like
from.
material from, especially that part with Eddie where he kind of separates from the
Yeah.
symbiote without giving spoilers. All right, so that's our guess. What would you use as a cover? I love asking this question too.
Um, maybe that there because the cover of the Dan Way collection has that Sam Keith drawing, the
Yeah,
really
with a
cool one.
spiral tongue.
Yeah, maybe that one.
Love
If
that
not,
cover.
like if they have the Dark Origin miniseries, maybe the one of the I think Medina did the covers on that one.
Yeah, Angel Medina.
Yeah, maybe one of those covers because those were really nice as well.
I'm a big fan of Sam Keith, so I got to go with one of those. I got to
Yeah,
go with issue 1 of Venom.
agree.
All right. Thanos, the Infinity Saga. This one's pretty easy to map out. And
Yeah,
some people were asking me, so what I think this is, and I'm sure what Riley thinks this is.
yep.
Jim Starlin did a series of graphic novels,
Hmm.
kind of like one-shot graphic novels for Marvel, and I mean, they were 6 of them, weren't they?
Yep. There were 6, and then there were also there was two mini series. There was 6 graphic novels, and then Infinity Entity
That's
and
it.
Thanos versus Hulk, the 2 mini series.
And those are all Starlin in
Those were
during the same
all
time.
written by Starlin. With I think the first trio, I have them somewhere.
Davis draws some of that stuff too. Alan
Yeah, the
Davis, right?
first trilogy has art by Starlin, and then the third of that trilogy has Ron Lim, and then Alan Davis does the art. And I think Alan Davis also did the artwork on the Infinity Entity, and then Thanos versus Hulk was all Starlin all the time.
Okay. So yeah, we're looking at 6 hardcovers and 2 miniseries. That should do a nice little package. So Infinity Conflict, Infinity Ending, Infinity Relativity. And if you're wondering where this fits in, it can be this is definitely after the events of Annihilation, even though it's kind of its own thing. It can be read on its
Yeah,
own, really.
I
Right?
know, like the first trilogy. I only read the first trilogy of those 2 trios. The second trilogy I haven't read, but in the first trilogy they have a scene with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they're very much in their uh, Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning
DNA.
era uniforms, like Groot wearing the blue uniform and stuff. So I don't know if it's supposed to, I guess, take place during that time, but I remember when it was being published, also people stating that it might not even be in main continuity.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So I've always
And
suggested it can be read on its own.
yeah, and I know that like there was a little bit of a conflict, an infinity conflict, if you will, whenever Starlin was writing it, that he said Donny Cates' Thanos wins story was similar to something that he was doing. So I don't know if that's.
And I remember that's one of the reasons he kind of left for a little while, didn't he?
Yeah, I feel like they almost canceled it. Like they almost didn't even do that second trilogy, but he came back around. And like I said, I didn't read it, so I don't know if they changed anything. If he changed the plot or anything, or it went through as it was supposed to, originally planned, or what. But yeah, it was his last story. But it was like he was already gone, and I think that they just wrapped it up for him.
So Armando Lopez is saying Starlin's last story before he
Yeah.
left Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't it wasn't a hey, I'm done with the story. It's more like, oh, you guys are gonna do this. Well, I'm done. I'm out. Pieces. And but he did come back and do he finished it out.
Yep.
Like with some of those stories. So he got to tell his story in the very end. And good for him.
I think so.
It's a guy that created Venom Thanos. So
now what if we're both completely wrong and it's some weird collection of like
I thought about what if it's like the
Infinity Abyss
to the exactly. It's the prequel to Annihilation, right? So you're talking about Thanos Redemption. Exactly,
yep.
Right? You're talking about Infinity Abyss. Yeah, what if we're wrong and it's that and we're like, damn it, no one's gonna listen to us now.
Because that was all that was also because then if they have Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and then another one that's on this list, and then the Annihilation duology and the War of Kings trio of books, then there's still material sitting right between there that is Starlin and Giffen wrote that material.
Right.
And you can probably pull in some other stuff there too to kind of make it into a full omnibus.
It wouldn't be omnibus format, but it would definitely be a thick book. What's going on, Joe Chip? And yes,
Hello.
anybody, please feel free to chime in with additions or what you wouldn't add, because this is an open discussion. Okay, let's move on to one I'm very excited about and one I'm very surprised about. War of the Realms.
Yeah.
This one surprised me for a few reasons. Number one, it came out before Absolute Carnage, and then Absolute Carnage, like that,
immediately
omnibus format. And I'll tell you a story behind that. It's really funny. David was telling Donnie Cates, he's like, we're going to do an OHC, and Donnie kept texting him, hey, we need to add this. Hey, this is important. Hey, this also needs to be added. And David was like, you know what, dude? We're just going to make it an omnibus. We're making it an omnibus. We'll just put everything in there. So for the first time, Marvel had an Absolute Carnage omnibus, absolute and omnibus in the same word, right? Like, it's the same phrase. Oh, it's so awesome. But
an absolute omnibus.
For the first time, we had an event, and just like that, an omnibus got announced.
Yeah.
So that's why it surprised me. I'm like, well, I guess it didn't sell enough. Maybe, they don't want it. They're going to skip it. The other reason was we're for sure going to get a Jason Aaron Thor omnibus. Yeah. I would have put my money that 2020 was the first year we're going to get a Jason Aaron omnibus. So that's why I was like, wait, this is the tail end of it. So that's where we are. War of the Realms is getting an omnibus. So let's talk about what could be collected in here, because I have a few things I think I want to add, and I'm curious to what you think is in here.
So I didn't look at like an issue count or anything. Are there too many tie-ins? No, I mean not an official, but I mean like looking at everything War of Realms, is there too many issues to fit into one book, do you think?
There's too many if you start adding things like Strike Force, like the miniseries after that, after War of the Realms, or the Punisher Kill Crew, which happened during War of the Realms, what was written after War of the Realms. I think Punisher War of the Realms will definitely be in there, but I don't think Punisher Kill Crew will make it.
The post stuff, the epilogue type of
the stuff that kind of
like the Loki series and Valkyrie and stuff like that. Yeah,
what I do think is going to be in here though is the remaining orphaned issues of Thor that we don't have yet in oversized format. Because we know we have a Thor oversized hardcover volume 4 coming out with Thor 1 through 11. And everybody was like, what? This is an outrage. Thor goes all the way to 16. Why didn't they just do that? I'm thinking maybe...
How many issues is it solicited with?
Let me see, because we'll need Thor 12 through 16. Oh, 1 through 11. Just 1 through 11 for that hardcover. So if we put in Thor 12 through 16 and add King Thor 1 through 4. There you go. Now, David said this is he did when I got the message of War of the Realms, he was like, and you wouldn't know anything about this, but I just want to let you know anyway. This is going to include everything. Because at first I guess it wasn't, and they went back and forth, but he said, I know you didn't know what was included to begin with, but just so you know, everything is going to be in here. So I'm assuming that's
for War of the Realms.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's going to include the Thor stuff. I don't know about the Avengers stuff. I assume the Avengers because he wrote Avengers.
Well, I'd assume any tie-ins. I wish that I had ahead of time on this one looked into how many issues, but everything had. But yeah, what you said about with the 4th hardcover ending with 11, 12 through 16 are the tie-in issues. That would make sense.
And that leads us straight into King Thor, which is where he finishes that out, his story. Yeah. And then, with a few exceptions of miniseries and Unworthy Thor, you'll have everything Aaron in oversized format until we get Omnis, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure that we'll have those.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
At some point in the near future. I'm just trying to get a quick look at how many, because there was a lot amount of miniseries. There was... yeah, it's like there's a lot of material.
But some of that material wasn't everything in the miniseries, right? Like the way it's collected in trade paperback, like the War Scrolls and things like that is kind of scattered throughout the trades. New Mutants and X-Men rather. Sorry. See, I like that miniseries, so I'm excited to see the final solicitations for that. But I would add the main minis that were included in War of the Realms. Are you counting?
Yep.
All right, what do you got? Because I'm including Journey to Mystery.
Close to 60 if it's everything from just like the main series and then the tie-ins during that time. So I don't know. They would
60 issues. That's going to be a huge book.
Yeah.
Does that include the Thor issues?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the main series. Because there's issues of like a bunch of ongoing titles, and maybe they leave something out because there's some things that might not be integral, I guess. Like,
I don't think they'll include things like Iron Man, right, which took place during his own run.
Yeah, because there's some stuff like that where like that's what I'm kind of thinking of is a series where it's more tied into that character's story, and then there's a little bit of like, oh, a frost giant pops up in there, like that. Maybe not like an issue of Fantastic Four. I don't remember about Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel and stuff how tied in those were, but that type of stuff maybe not included. But all the stuff that has like the subtitle of War of Realms, Journey into Mystery, War of Realms, Agents of Atlas, War of Realms, Punishers, those very likely will make up this book, and it definitely is that those Thor issues. I would say I would make a bet that those Thor issues are in there.
And for the cover, I would so use War of the Realms, that big fold out of the first issue by Russell Dauterman. It's freaking beautiful and perfect.
Yeah,
I like to see it in the way that House and Powers of X were, like a double page dust jacket. But anyway, like I said, we don't have the content and we don't have the prices, we don't have the cover, so this is just our guess.
I mean, heck, they could do they could even do a companion book on there.
Absolutely.
Like we've done companions to events all the time, so there could be like a companion that has the prelude, epilogue type stuff, all that.
See, I want to say, okay, like Clark Nato's saying, they should in theory include the Avengers issues. I think so too, because part of that is like something happens to Loki, right? And then all of a sudden he's changed later on, and you're like, wait, what happens? And you find out in those issues of Avengers what happens. So I think that's pretty important.
I'm gonna say my biggest theory about this is we'll probably get a companion. I think that we'll get some sort of companion that'll have some of the overflow issues.
They have enough. Seriously, they have enough with, like, if you include like Iron Man and, like you were saying, Miss Marvel and things like that, they actually have enough. All right, so that's our mapping. Anything else that you all would add? Let us know in the chat. I don't think they'll make a treasury edition of King Thor like Silver Surfer Black. Probably not. I don't think so.
That'd be cool.
I like the art in it.
It has a really nice artwork by Asad Ribic. But I don't know. I know that you've said that they're trying to, like, they might be leaning away from those treasury size books because of the way bookstores are not fans of them.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're leaning away from. It's just something that David told me. Like, he doesn't know, because right now they're still thinking on X-Men Grand Design and on Conan, right? Because if you start making books like that, then it kind of gets away from the Marvel way of making omnis. I get it. You want to have a product and everybody's realized, right off the bat knows what your product is. Okay, so we are moving on to Moon Knight. This is one that I think a lot of people speculated and then were upset when nothing was announced, but now it's in the books for 2020. Well,
yeah.
Keep in mind, I did say the dates could change. They could push it back to 2021, but I don't know yet. It's not.
But these are just all books that are greenlit that are definitely happening.
They're definitely happening
in the near future.
Correct. So let's be happy about that. Moon Knight, Omnibus Volume 1. Let's hear your thoughts.
I think that the denoting it as Volume 1 tells me it's probably going to be the original run with Moon Knight. So it's basically going to collect the material from the 3 Epic collections.
Okay.
The Doug Munch, Bill Sienkiewicz stuff.
I'm so glad you went first. Doug Munch. Got it. That's how you say it.
I don't know. I used to say Munch, and then I think I heard someone on a show say Munch, and I was like, but I know it's Sienkiewicz. I know that.
I know that one too. Okay. So Don Hector, that's exactly what those epics are. So we're talking Werewolf by Night 32, 33, Marvel Spotlight 28, 29, Marvel Previews 21, and Moon Knight 1 through 38. They did include things like the Hulk magazine 11 through 15, and those aren't like huge page counts if you're adding. And if you add like Spectacular Spider-Man 22 and 23, I don't think it will take away from the book. So I mean, you're looking at a book. Man, give and take, you're almost looking at about 50 issues. It's going to be a thick omnibus.
Well, I'm looking at the page count, just going from what's in the epics. The first one is like 500 pages. The second one is about 500 pages. And the third one, and like you said, there's a lot of other stuff aside from what Don Hector had pointed out that they add in there. The third one is under 500. So you're looking at still about 1,500 pages if they directly put everything from the epics into one book. They might leave out some of those single issues here and there, but I think that this will at the very least get through that entire first ongoing Moon Knight series.
Absolutely.
And depending on the success of this book, then we might see like the Mark Spector Moon Knight series follow in like a volume 2.
I'm excited for that. As much as I am the Charlie Houston run too.
I was going to say, like, I'm hoping that they keep finding success. I hope that Moon Knight is like a super popular character once he starts getting like I think they're doing a Disney Plus series or something, or a Hulu series.
Hulu, I think. Yeah.
Either one. Well, once they do that, I hope that it takes off and becomes like a little bit more mainstream, like just pop enough that it warrants releasing more modern omnis, and then we get something that has like the Huston run, maybe with Vengeance of the Moon Knight and the Bendis stuff in one thick ass book, and then another thick book with and the Ellis, Wood, Bunn, Lemire, and Bemis all in one place.
No, that's a good way of thinking. I love I want everything, all these books. Out of all these, this is somebody's favorite. This is somebody's favorite character, somebody's first omnibus for the character. So this is a big deal.
I know that there's at least one person who literally every time any stuff got announced as far as Marvel Omnis was always disappointed there wasn't Moon Knight. So that person is finally happy. There's at least one person.
Omar, do you ever look at Riley's beautiful manly beard and remember how you had an epic one and how sad you were about the fact that how it's gone? Yes, it's hard not to look at that epic beard, but you are right. Now it makes me want to grow it out again. Thanks, Tyler.
It's your day today.
Okay. Now let's get to. So I went from the ones that I announced. So now let's start doing Excalibur. Excalibur Omnibus Volume 1. Excited for this. It's been released in epic format. It's been released in classic format, but this is the first time it's getting an omnibus. Now, some issues of Excalibur have been in an omnibus format, but this is Excalibur. This is Chris Claremont, Alan Davis.
Now, my first thought on this one, because at least I'm assuming that the list that you've sent me was copy pasted from what you were given, and it doesn't include
Go ahead.
It doesn't say Volume 1 on it.
No. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly the list that I got. It's exactly what I shared with everybody.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say Volume 1. I'm assuming it's going to be Volume 1.
I'm thinking that this is my thought on that, and I probably think too much into things because that's the way to do it.
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I think that they are going to be apprehensive to put a Volume 1 on it just in case it does not sell as well as they'd like it to, because Excalibur, for guys like us, X-heads, we're like, yes, absolutely. Like, we've been wanting this. This is fantastic stuff. We want this collected. But for everyone else, kind of like, people don't really know about it. People aren't sure what to expect. And it might not sell as well as something like, New Mutants would. But so they don't put the Volume 1 on there because Claremont's run, the one that he wrote with Alan Davis on art, is the perfect size for an omnibus. So you have that run contained into one book, any side material that's relevant, and if it doesn't sell well enough to validate producing a second volume, then they don't have people with a volume 1 on their shelves that's orphaned without a volume 2, similar to, Wolverine for years and Iron Man, or not Iron Man, Silver Surfer and Hulk, where we have a volume 1 but no volume 2. So that's my thought on that one.
Okay. I thought you were gonna throw me for a loop and say they're gonna go ahead and do the Warren Ellis years. And
That would be cool.
honestly, that might be the second omnibus they do. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they'll do a Alan Davis. But anyway, I'm thinking 1 through 30.
Because that's what
That's Claremont.
that's Claremont's
Alan
run.
Davis. I mean, with a few fill-in writers and artists here and there,
Yeah.
bar none. I mean, you got to include Captain Britain 1 and 2.
Mhm.
I don't think I would include the annuals like New Mutants and where Betsy leaves and goes to America, but I would jump right in. I would definitely include the special edition, which kicks it off. Maybe a little blurb as to why Kitty and Kurt and Rachel decided to leave the X-Men after Mutant Massacre.
Yep.
Let's see, Mojo Mayhem. You got to have that Arthur Adams in there. And then, material from that Mighty World of Marvel stuff. And the Marvel, you have to have the Marvel Comics Presents 31 through 38. I think that right there. I mean, we're looking at the first 2 epics. I mean, these things have been mapped out for us. I mean, all I'm really adding is just little blurbs about Mutant Massacre to kind of give you an idea that these characters were once X-Men. And this is the reason why, you include a little bit of what happened in the Fantastic Four versus X-Men miniseries where Kitty turned into a ghost practically.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what I was thinking, is like these epic collections seem to already give us the maps. And I think that maybe they're
X-Heads for life. Hashtag, I love it. Thanks, man.
I think that it seems like maybe they're using the numbers that they get from the epics and the sales on that to denote what might succeed as an omnibus. And there are a lot, and I know, especially, I know that you've adamantly told David about, like, there's a huge market of people who specifically enjoy omnibus collections.
What, me? Of course I did.
Because I know that you're one of them.
The very first time we talked, it was so funny because I'm like, he is going to hang up the phone on my dumbass, because I'm just like, it's like I'm leading a meeting and a presentation through a phone call. I'm like, look, man, I'm telling you, like the market is different now than it was 10 years, because we were talking about reprints, because he was like, that didn't sell that well back then. I'm like, but I remember saying, look, it's different now. People are collecting. We have so many more new collectors that are buying Omnis. It wasn't like it was 10 years ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. Like, he is going to hang up the phone and never talk to me again.
But I think that they're using the epics as a litmus test to see what can sell, what sold well in epic. And I don't know what the numbers are on those Excalibur epics, but if they sold well, then boom, you can get an omnibus of it. And then if the further ones that are coming out sell well, boom, we get a second one that has the Lobdell and Davis stuff.
Right.
So I'm hoping that all this stuff does well, because I would love to have continued omnibus for Excalibur. That would be fantastic. But at the very least, if we get the whole Claremont run here, then I could die happy with that.
I have mine custom bound, and I'm still excited for this. I custom bound my Excalibur. It was the very first project I did like 15 years ago, and I'm like, holy crap, we're getting an authentic, like, this is the real deal.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to one of my other favorite. I'm really excited for this. This list is legit amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I've never been this excited over an omnibus list, because I've never seen this many, and I've never seen like so many titles I'm excited for.
So many that were like high on everyone's priority list.
Right? Incredible Hulk by Peter David, Volume 2. We're getting 2 Peter David Omnis, man. That's awesome. Like, I'm so excited for him. I'm excited for us, and I'm excited for new people that have never read the book, like, to go in for the first time and read these stories as he wrote. Oh my God, especially this volume, which has some of my favorite issues. So, let's talk about some mapping. Yeah, we're going to take it all the way to the end of the Visionaries. Is that what you're thinking?
At the very least, I think, because the first one went a little bit further than Volume 4. Like, I think it dip a little into Volume 5.
It did. It dipped like
Okay.
about a third of the way into volume 5.
So at the very least, the rest of the Visionaries, and maybe get a little bit into that first epic that they released. What was it? Ghosts of the Past, I think. Yeah, Ghosts of the Past. So maybe dip a little bit into that epic as well.
Well, if you're gonna do
'Cause
that, you got to throw in Future Imperfect then, right? Riley?
I don't know. You're the guy that's actually read it.
Well, no, I'm saying I think Future Imperfect would be a good bookend to volume 2 if you're going to go that far, right? Okay, so
Mm.
let's talk about a little bit about volume 1 first, cuz volume 1 ended with 368, right?
I have it right
Vo-
here, actually.
Okay. If volume 1 ended with 368, I'm thinking this takes us all the way to either Hulk 400 plus Future Imperfect. I
Okay.
mean, 396 literally would be the good stopping point because then you're not dipping into the epics. But omnis and epics are two different things, as we know.
Yep.
So I'm thinking take us all the way to 400, include Future Imperfect, include the crossover events with X Factor.
Mhm.
What was that crossover event called? Oh shoot! Take my X-Men badge away, man. Not Ground Zero. It was issue. I know the issue. It was issue 77, or no 76. I'm done. I'm out. Deuces. Sorry, everybody. I'm retired. I don't remember the crossover. What the hell was it called, Riley?
I
He's on
don't
a
remember. You're the
rocket.
one that's read it.
Yeah. Oh, you've never read that crossover?
I told you that that this is going to be my first time reading it. I've collected the material, but I haven't read it
Oh,
yet.
War and Pieces. I had to look it
Okay.
up. Oh my god, I'm not an X-Men fan. War and Pieces. Yeah, collect all that in there. So yeah, this is gonna make and the annuals. You're talking about a hell of a book. Like some of the best. Like probably my favorite part of Peter David's run is included in there.
Hmm. So
So
what are you
and
thinking? Four volumes total or 5 volumes total?
to do his whole run,
Yeah.
it really depends on how they map this one out. If they map this one out all the way to 400 to include Future Imperfect, I say 4. Oh well, no 5. 5 to play it safe. Give me a little wiggle room towards the end. But
It's 4 or 5 for sure. It's 4 or 5. I don't think it'll be more than 5, and it definitely can't be less than 4. There's just
no,
so much
no,
material,
yeah, he's got a lot of
and
stuff in there.
somewhere along the way, they're going to release probably that last epic worth of material that he did, the last chunk, because there's still not everything collected.
Well, remember, like even the last chunk doesn't cover. If we're talking about omnis, this is why I'm saying give me a little wiggle room. We still need Tempest Fugit. We still need Hulk the End, and that stuff was written
Right. If you're looking
well
at
after,
the later stuff that he wrote,
right? And you have a Peter David omnibus, you got to include it in there. So I'm
yeah,
thinking
if it's
it
character
at
specific.
the very least 4.
If it is character specific, then it would make sense for them to add in those later stories. Would they also? Do you think they do the House of M storyline as well?
David wrote that, of course.
Yeah.
If his name is on it, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm thinking for. As far as the cover, by the way, either 377 or 393. 377 is the classic, Keown, like he's getting blown up into silhouette, and then this is the other one I think they should go for.
I mean, they could do one of them as the variant on there.
Dude, if they start doing variants with glossy covers for first, have they have video games called First Day video games, like it's limited edition to that first date, like the very first day the video game is released. They could start doing that for Omnis. Like the first printing of these will have chromium covers and all these gimmicky
Oh
covers.
God,
Can you imagine a Wolverine
die
Omnibus
cut
Volume
cover.
3 with a die cut of the Shiva project? Oh my god. The hell am I doing? I'm just digging my own grave. All right. So let's keep going because we got a few more to talk about. Marvel Horror Lives Again Omnibus. Now this is the one that you're very familiar with, and honestly, for
All
me,
you.
it was my first time reading the horror stuff. Fell in love with
Mhm.
zombie, and then found out there's more zombie stuff. So I would put zombie in there, more Hellstrom, Monster Frankenstein, Blades, Satana, and Son of Satan. Mainly because I think Hellstrom is getting a Hulu series or something like that. So,
Hmm.
yeah. So a lot of people are saying Hulk might be 3 or 4. Peter David. So I'm playing it safe and saying at least 4. At least 4.
I don't think it could fit in 3. There's so
You would have to
much
leave
material.
out a lot of the crossover stuff. You would have to leave out the
Yeah.
annuals, and as a completist, you don't want them to leave out the annuals.
Yeah,
Even the
I
extra
think
stories in the back of the annuals, you don't want them to leave out.
I think it would have to be at least 4. If it's 3, I mean, cool. That means we get the whole thing sooner. But there's that run is very long. It's very extensive.
So Alex is saying it's a 130 issue run, 42 issues per book in 3 books. I think his run lasted a little longer than that. I thought we're talking 333 to 4. We'll come back to that one because I'm curious. 130 seems really low because I thought he did a lot more work than that.
But does that count all of the additional? Because there was like the 4-part Defenders storyline that crossed over between all annuals that he did.
Well, I don't think it doesn't include the X Factor stuff. It doesn't include the annuals. It doesn't include Future Imperfect one-shots. And those Future Imperfect one-shots are pretty thick to begin with.
Yeah, those are like double length at least.
Right. So we just talked about Horror Lives Again. That's pretty short because I don't know the exact issue numbers. I don't know. Savage Sword of Conan. This one I think is going to be pretty easy to map. Now, Savage Sword of Conan, those are the magazine-sized books, so they're thicker. The pages are longer. So I'm thinking it will be just like issues 45 through 60. Maybe some King Conan in there or something. Not King Conan, Giant Size in there. But I'm thinking that's what it'll contain. And so that one was pretty easy to map just because of the page count, and I know how the others have been mapped. Infinity Crusade Omnibus. Let's talk about this.
So this is the third of the Infinity Trilogy, as
the original,
right? The original Infinity Trilogy, following War. Now I have the paperbacks for it, and I know the paperbacks include, I don't know where the hell I put them. They're up at the top there. They include some other tie-in stuff.
Well, I'm thinking, what do they include in this? Do they include, like, just like Infinity War, do they include all the little crossover Red Sky events, or do they actually go back and map in Warlock and the Infinity Watch? Because necessity is Warlock and the Infinity Watch, at least for this book, 18 through 22. And then Warlock Chronicles 1 through 5.
Yep.
But, man, it would be so cool to have all of Warlock and the Infinity Watch into one big book. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be those Warlock Infinity Watch books, and then it'll also include some of the Red Sky stuff.
Now, I know that this is what I wanted to find the info for this before getting on, but I was busy with work and stuff. The box set, how many volumes were there of Infinity Crusade crossovers?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think
that's what I was thinking.
3.
Like, what's the page count on those? And does it seem like there's does the amount of material line up to where we would be able to just fit all of that stuff in one book?
So it looks like there's 2, and actually Alex just said there were 2. So 3 is what I thought, but so 3 including Crusade,
the main book,
and then the 2 crossovers, right?
And then what's the page count on those is the other question. If the page count is roughly 400 per, then
no, they're not that thick. I don't.
Okay, then there's definitely going to be enough room for us to have. Because
together, all of that box set, it's like almost 5,000 pages. And when you're looking, 5,000 pages and 12 hardcovers, well, maybe you are looking at about 400 pages each. 350. Okay. Damn, Alex got all the answers. Thank you for joining us, Alex.
Yes.
So 352 pages per book. Freddie brought up a really good point. Do you think they'll put aftermath stuff? I heard stuff between Gauntlet and War. It isn't in the Omnis. As a matter of fact, there's a trade paperback called Infinity Gauntlet Aftermath. Well, look at this. This is show and tell. Riley's got you.
This is Gauntlet Aftermath. This stuff is not collected in either of those Omnis, the Gauntlet or War Omnis. And then there's also the War Aftermath, which is not collected in the War Omni. So it's a very good question that if it's only 350 some odd pages per book, and there's 3 books that comprise in the box set, then that's 1,050 pages roughly from those three. And that gives some wiggle room because I don't remember what the page count is on those other two.
Brother. So Crusade is over 450 pages.
Because War is a thick mother of a book.
Absolutely, but then
War
again,
is bigger than Gauntlet.
Like, okay, so War has Warlock in the Infinity Watch 7 through 10.
Okay.
Man, it would have been cool if Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus had the
1 through 6.
Yes, but they didn't. That's all stuff collected, I think, in part of that aftermath.
So I wonder if maybe, like, if they don't do the aftermath of War and they don't do the aftermath of Gauntlet, if they'll do like a Infinity Trilogy companion that has that stuff.
Oh, I would be down with that, including the Infinity Watch stuff.
Yeah, like all the Infinity Watch, anything that is relevant that fits between each book that would have been in that box set that doesn't fit in there.
And really quick, because I realize not everybody's on the same page, but for those of you new to the Infinity Trilogy, the Infinity Watch was an ongoing series by Jim Starlin, like that started right after the Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, it's without giving spoilers away, it's the donners of the gems, Infinity Gems, not stones. I'm not talking about the MCU. So it's the people that are donning the gems, and it's their story. It's their I'm not going to give away who it is or anything, but in case you've never read. All right.
So the War Omnibus was over 1,300 pages. I'd say at the very least we get the material from, if you're looking at the hardcovers from the box set of Crusade and the 2 tie-in volumes. Now, if there's, is the set stuff that's missing of Infinity Watch, is it the stuff that was not written by Starlin at the end?
I wonder towards the end of the Infinity Watch?
Yeah, because
past issue 22.
Written by another writer.
Yeah. I would include the Starlin stuff. Leonidas says, guys, I'm new to the game. Somehow I managed to get the Infinity Gauntlet box set and Secret Wars for cheap. That's what's up, man. Congratulations. I would definitely put the Infinity Crusade issue 1 as far as the omnibus cover. Or, you know what? Have Ron Lim come in and redraw you something nice. Guy's still in the game. So
now, what I'm excited with this book, once we get the mapping for this, whatever is not in here, then I can start thinking about mapping for a companion. Then I can start thinking oh man, what's left? How much of it is left? Put all that in one book, the stuff between that event, the stuff between that event, the stuff that came after here, Abyss, Marvel Universe, the end, Thanos Redemption, boom, give me a companion, and then that bridges everything.
I did that with like the Ultimates by Aaron or Hickman, right? I was mapping like Thor and Ultimate and things like that they didn't include.
Yeah.
And I do that all the time with X-Men. Oh, it's not included in there. I got this in my daydream of an oversized hardcover.
Yeah, I know you see me in chats every once in a while. I'm like, all right, guys, we've got this many volumes left.
Let's talk.
I was looking and I'm like, there's 9 paperbacks of the 90s X-Men that are not in oversized hardcovers or omnibus. How are we going to do it?
So yeah, these are the kind of meetings we hold in chats. This is why I wanted to do a video, because it's a lot of fun. I love people chiming in and telling us what they would include too. So at this time, I just want to remind everybody that's watching live, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, notifications button. We can be found on Patreon and Redbubble. And check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, where you can get these books up to 50% of when they come out in the 4th quarter. Now, let's continue. Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel years. This was a little hard for me to map out because I've never read the material up until I've gotten the Omnis, right? So this is my first time reading the classic Roy Thomas stuff. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. One of my favorite things is the introductions in these omnibus. Like, whenever he does an introduction, they're wonderful. They remind me a lot of James Robinson's Starman introductions. But mapping this one out was a little harder because I don't know exactly. Okay, I got it. Boomar's my safe word. Thanks. Ganks. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that magic. The crackening. Where was I? Damn it. Conan the Barbarian, 116 through 149. This is past the Roy Thomas stuff, and annual 6 and 7. I think that's the way I would map it out, because those have been about 800 pages, give or take, each. They're not as thick as other Omnis, right? They're Smaller, but the restoration on those are amazing. Now, Marvel Cosmic Universe. This one's going to be fun. By Donny Cates.
Now, the thing that makes me scratch my head on this one is that it says Volume 1.
Yeah, well, a lot of these say Volume 1, though. I'm sure Excalibur's going to say Volume 1.
But this is one where, like, they've got to remove the Volume 1 is all I'm thinking. It's like that has to be taken off whenever it actually starts to get solicited and published. Because there's
not enough material for a volume.
Yeah, there's enough to fill out and make this, because it's just looking at it real quick. He did and I know I'm going to miss something in here. So he did Thanos Wins, which was 6 issues. He did the miniseries for Cosmic Ghost Rider, which is another 6 issues. I think there was 1 or 2, maybe just the annual, I think, of Thanos that got tied in with that little hardcover. He did 12 issues of Guardians of the Galaxy, so that we're up to 25 altogether, I think.
Okay.
And then there was the Death of the Inhumans miniseries. I don't remember how many issues that was. I have it right here. It was 5, so 30 issues. Silver Surfer Black, which is another, how many issues? 4 or 5? So let's say 35 issues. So 35 issues.
You include Guardians of the Galaxy and the annual?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, there's an annual for Guardians?
Yeah, annual 1.
So 36. And I think there's something else that he did that could tie in. But there's roughly like 40 issues of material. That's a perfect size.
That's a perfect size omnibus.
And if you haven't read, anyone who hasn't read Donny Cates' material, it's connected. Like, it's not something where you'd be like, oh, why are they just throwing in random stuff together? Like, why would they do that?
Freddie and Alex are bringing up something that I was going to ask you. Do you think they'll take out Cosmic and just write and make it
Marvel Universe
by Donny Cates? Include Venom, include the things that he's been writing. Because if they do that, literally he is tying in all his stories together. And I'm not spoiling anything in case you haven't read them, but a lot of these the stories are tied together of characters that are appearing in Venom, and you can even consider that Cosmic in a way. Did I blow your mind, Riley? Is that why you're thinking?
I think it's possible, but I don't think it's as plausible though that they would do that. I think that they'll keep it Cosmic, and then Venom. Sorry, I think I cut out again. I think Venom will go be separate and be its own thing. I know that there's a big there's a big crossover between like a character that is in both the Cosmic stuff and the Venom stuff. So it's possible they could cross it over, and it's a pretty big tie-in between the two things. But the way that character interacts in the Cosmic stuff and the way that character interacts in the Venom stuff is a very separate story. My big question would be, and I doubt it, but what about Doctor Strange? Like, if we're talking about including Venom, he also did Doctor Strange, and that could be shoved in somewhere. I don't think it would, but it could.
Damn. So no, let's go back to Cosmic then. So I think you're right. I think it will be about 40 issues, collecting Silver Surfer Black, his Guardians run, Death of the Inhumans, Thanos, and what was the other thing that I think it was it, right? That's 40 issues worth of stuff.
Silver Surfer, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Guardians of the Galaxy, Death of the Inhumans. I think that's everything that he did. And then you have all of his Doc Strange has its own little hardcover, and you have Venom has its own hardcover, and the Absolute Carnage Omni.
So my man Marcus here is mapping Venomnibus Volume 4 for us. Agent Venom. I'm thinking Venomnibus Volume 4 is just going to be called Venomnibus by Rick Remender.
I think that this would not include the
Space Knight.
I'm trying to think if I would say that it would include all of the Remender and Bunn in there, because it would be thick. It'd be thick as hell. But they definitely couldn't also include Space Knight. If they were to do something Space Knight, it would be Space Knight plus when Kull and Bunn came back and did the Venomized and maybe the Mike Costa stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff out there. They, from when Rick Remender took over on Venom all the way to now, there's pretty much
Damn,
always
they could
been at
they could
least
do
a Venom
two
series.
Omnis then. Actually, Freddie just said that. Agent Venom Omnibus
They
Volume 1 and
could,
2.
yeah. It could be Agent Venom by Rick Remender,
Yeah.
and then Agent Venom Volume 2 would be the Bun stuff, because the Bun stuff is significantly less. It's like about 400 pages worth, plus the Space Knight, all 13 issues of that by Robbie Thompson. Maybe include a little bit of Guardians, maybe include a little bit of Secret Avengers in there. Like, shoot, you could even put Secret Avengers
Into
the Remender stuff, because he was a member for most of that time.
Was Agent Venom the title of the ongoing?
No, it was titled Venom.
It was just Venom, but I think most people call it Agent Venom.
But then Space Knight was titled Venom Space Knight.
Yeah, that one was fun to map. Marvel Cosmic Universe by Donny Cates, Volume 1.
I can't wait to see.
You know what doesn't have a Volume 1 that I want to have a Volume 1 is Kull Omnibus Volume 1. I want this to have a Volume 1.
I don't know anything about Kull. What is Kull? Who is Kull? Why is
he's a character? He's a character created by Robert E. Howard. This is the stuff that I used to get. Like, my mom went to a flea market and bought a stack of Kull comics because she thought it was Conan and I liked X-Men. So there's that connection.
Wait, what?
So my mom knew that I liked X-Men when I was a kid. She went to a flea market and bought a stack of Kull comics because she recognized the character and she thought it was Conan the Barbarian. Because she had seen the movie with me and she was like, "You like comic books about X-Men? I got you a Conan comic." She got me a stack of Kull comics. So it's a Robert E. Howard creation. He has shown up in the pages of Conan. Okay. So the Kull Omnibus, I've got it. Include the 10 Kull the Conqueror, then the Destroyer. That's how it changes the title from Kull the Conqueror to Kull the Destroyer. So that's 1 through 29, and then some issues of Monsters on the Prowl, Creatures on the Loose, and then Conan the Barbarian. And then there was a series called Kull and the Barbarians, but I don't know if they would include that in this one or not, if they're going to do more.
So is there... God, I guess there must be a lot of material you're saying they should do a volume 2. I don't know. I don't know.
Absolutely, because it's like Conan. It didn't go as long as Conan did, but it went for a long time. All right, we are down to our last 3. Let's get everybody involved in these because these are ones that I think most everybody in this chat are excited about, or at least I know you and I are. The first one we're going to talk about is the Thunderbolts Omnibus. This is the first time we've had Thunderbolts in omnibus format.
Dude, I'm so pumped.
I'm ready. I love this series. It's one of those hidden gems that came out in the 90s, right? When people were disregarding the 90s as nothing but crap comics. So really quick,
it's so good.
It is the series created by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley. Pretty much when Marvel sent off their heroes into the Heroes Reborn universe of Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld, they needed new heroes, right? The Marvel 616 universe needed new heroes. The X-Men were still kind of outlawish because of the events in Onslaught. So Kurt Busiek created a set of heroes called the Thunderbolts. And damn, I can't talk about how awesome this is without giving away the last page, which makes it completely amazing, right? Because the Thunderbolts there's a secret about them. And the last page of Thunderbolts issue 1 is just one of the holy shit moments of comic book history, at least for me, reading it for the first time. Like, I didn't see that coming. So
it's something, though, that I know that people still get upset about, like 30, 40-year-old spoilers and stuff, but it's something that like is so integrated into Marvel at this point that I'm surprised if anyone doesn't know what the deal with the Thunderbolts is. But regardless, it is a great series. It is fantastic stuff. And I've been dreaming of Thunderbolts Omnis for so long. I'm hoping that this does well enough that they'll...
Oh, man. The Fabian Nicieza run? Yeah.
And even further, I know how much you know that I love Jeff Parker. His run on Thunderbolts is solid as well.
Absolutely
really good stuff.
Absolutely, man. So let's map the first Omni out. I'm assuming this is going to be a volume 1. We don't have a volume on this. It's just Thunderbolts Omnibus. But if it is a volume 1, you kick it off with the Incredible Hulk 449, which is the first appearance of the Thunderbolts. And then you move on with Thunderbolts. I put in 0 through 33.
Mm-hmm.
The -1 issue, annual 97. Avengers 12, which is a little crossover when the heroes returned. Let's see. Oh, the Marvel, the Spider-Man team up number 7, Heroes for Hire 7, and I think that's all I've got. What do you think? You think we'll get the first 33 issues?
I think just the entire Busiek run in under one cover. They're going to make sure, because that way you have a nice complete run, a nice complete narrative right there. And I think that the same thing that I said about Excalibur applies to this. I think that they're going to put this out as a, blank by blank, a title by person. So it's going to be Thunderbolts by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley omnibus. And then depending on how well this does, if it sells as well as we want it to, then they'll do another, Thunderbolts by Fabian Nicieza, Volume 1, Volume 2, hopefully.
Yeah, because he started writing in 34.
Yep.
Now, Bagley stayed as penciler for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, Nicieza was on the title for a good amount of time. He was on there through when it got retitled, or not retitled.
It's going to be interesting if they do it eventually, reprint all this in the omnibus format. Because what do you do with the Fight Club years, right?
Yeah, Fight Bolts, the random 6 issues by Arcudi.
Never collected in anything, I don't think.
No, I've got it.
Has it?
Yeah, I can grab it for you. It was.
You don't have to. I'm good.
You're like, no, let's not revisit that one. It's too late, Omar.
Okay, get the Thunderbolts, the rare trade paperback that no one really asked for. Man, I remember how bad it was. Like, Fabian was kind of told that he's not going to be writing the book anymore, and they're bringing in some new ideas. And this is during the time of Agent X and Soldier X. That's it. What is it called? Thunderbolts, How to Lose.
How to Lose.
Shit, you know what? I think I own that. I need to pull.
I got this a long time ago because I was like reading Thunderbolts and I was like, nice. And I just looked up Thunderbolts on like Amazon or something, and this was like a super cheap volume. And so I got it in and I started reading it and I was like, huh?
Yeah, had nothing to do with the previous team.
Yeah, there's like literally no crossover with anything in this book to do with actual like the book. And I was like, what is going on? But anyway, I have it, I've read it, whatever.
So taking us to our last two, let's map these out. New Mutants Omnibus. Again, no volume, but we're thinking volume 1.
I think because
I don't think Liefeld Omnibus yet. I'm thinking volume 1 is what I'm thinking. What about you?
I think that this is going to be roughly the first 30 issues. Claremont's run is a little too long for one volume. When you include specials and the
miniseries
novel, stuff like that, like there's way too many issues to fit under one cover. So I think that this is going to go through the first half or so of Claremont's run on the New Mutants.
Let me see what I got. I've got 1 through 31. So taking us past the Demon Bear, taking us past the Legion storyline.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds about right.
The introduction of the characters in the graphic novel, Marvel Graphic Novel 4, Marvel Team Up 100, the Annual 6, which is the Marvel Team Up Annual 6, Uncanny X-Men 167 and 180, I think are crucial to that first volume.
Yeah, I was going to say a couple of issues of X-Men should be in there.
And as much as I know this has been reprinted in everything, just about the Magic miniseries 1 through 4. And there is that special edition they've already reprinted, I think, in volume 3. And yeah, and then some covers of New Mutants. Kind of like what some of the stuff that they've done in the Epic format.
Yeah,
so I would go to 30.
Without a doubt, this is one of my top most wanted books. This is without a doubt one of my top favorite books on of any X-Men too. So this is like one of my top X-Men runs. This is something I've been waiting for a long time.
And for those people that are watching this and are a little bit confused as to when to read this and stuff, somebody suggested on the channel, actually a couple people have suggested me to do a video on like when to start reading New Mutants, when to start reading X Factor. And I'll do that. It's going to be a little difficult to do it in collected editions because collected editions are so different than single issues. So I'll be like, stop reading at 167 because in collected editions you don't. Like it's one big chunk of a story. So, well, that takes us to the big one, which is one that you and I have been dreaming about mapping for a long time.
Yep.
Southern Comic Geek, what's up, man? Welcome to the chat. Do they include the Asgardian stuff? I didn't include the Asgardian stuff in this one, but that would be the special #1.
That, I think, would that be in the second volume?
Yeah, because that would include Annual 2. Because Annual 1's the first appearance of Strong Guy and Lila. So yeah, I would include that in Volume 2. So Uncanny X-Men Volume 4. Let's talk X-Men. Let's talk how to map this sucker out.
So Volume 3, we ended with 175.
Right, that is the end of the From the Ashes storyline, in the end of the Paul Smith run, which takes us into the John Romita Jr. years.
There are between Volume 3 and the Mutant Massacre Omnibus would be issues 176 through 209, plus some annuals and stuff there.
Right.
So that, in my opinion, and I know in a lot of people's opinion, this is more than what they would put into one book. So my idea,
because we know they would sell.
Yeah. So my idea is 176 to 198, annual 7 and 8.
Okay, go ahead.
Annual 7 and 8, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine 1 through 6.
I think 7 was included in the third Omni.
Okay, well if it was, then nix on that, and then maybe the Phoenix Untold Story issue, because I know that was in the Dark Phoenix Omnibus.
It was also in the Volume 2 Omnibus.
Okay, all right, well nix that. But the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries, and now here is possibly the content of Asgardian Wars, which is the X-Men Alpha Flight 1 and 2. And then I don't know if they would do Annual 9 and New Mutant Special Edition here, or if they do it in New Mutants. But either way, I know that would wind up in one of these Omnis somewhere.
I think it'll end up in both Omnis, honestly. But I don't. Okay, so.
But here's the part. This is the stuff that I was talking to you about in chat, and
yeah, this is where it gets fun.
So
my mapping is a little different, but I agree with some of the stuff that you're about to talk about.
So, in a recent episode that we did together, you were mentioning it was before they said to you that they were doing Volume 4, and you said it's been so long, and maybe there's something to do with the rights behind the Dire Wraiths.
The Dire Wraiths, right?
And so I thought about that. And I thought, okay, well, if maybe that's why it was taking so long, is because they were looking to be sure that there's no issues there. But if they're looking about issues with the Dire Wraiths, that leads us to Micronauts. So
I love that, but man, I don't see that happening.
So what if now this is a huge pipe dream. But what if in the process, what if it took so long? And I know it didn't take that long in comparison to like between 2 and 3, I think. But
right. You're right.
It was a decent amount of time, but that was even longer, I'm pretty sure.
It was. Between 1 and 2 was longer.
It was really long.
Because I remember I came so close to buying that Dark Phoenix hardcover. Because I was like, this is almost double dipping, but because we didn't know. At the time, we didn't know there was going to be an Omnibus Volume 2. Right? That goes back to how far in the game I've been doing this. Like, I didn't know that was ever coming out. So I was like, oh, play it safe and get this. Then, like, subconsciously, I'm like, no, they're going to do it. They're going to do it Volume 2. It has to sell. And they ended up doing it. So
yeah, what if in between when they were trying to, if there was an issue with
this is a good question before we talk about what you just said. So what are the copyright issues? So the main copyright issues are the character of Rom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is all copyright stuff. So Rom cannot appear in a Marvel comic. Like, although he was in the handbook of the Marvel Universe. Awesome. But he wasn't in in an issue of something. Like his appearances in Incredible Hulk by Mel Mantlo, which you have, I think they leave out the issues.
Mm.
They don't have the issues with him in it. Um, so there were a set of villains called the Dire Wraiths that appeared in Uncanny X-Men. I think, what was it, 180? So whatever it was, those are ROM villains, and we don't know if the copyright material falls back on ROM, who is now owned by IDW, or if the Dire Wraiths are kind of like a fair game. Because somebody had mentioned in the chat before that they did appear in one of the Annihilation series.
Mm-hmm.
It was a Conquest, maybe, or something. I can't remember. So it'll be pretty interesting to see what they do. Because if Dire Wraiths are fair game, then absolutely. Like, we're not going to have any issues. The only other issue I see with the copyright thing, and it was mainly because it was was it a Conan villain or was it a Red Sonja villain? It was that not a crossover event, but that 2-issue event with Spider-Man. So Freddy is saying that the Dire Wraith do show up in Conquest. Okay, so then they're fair game. Then we can have that issue. Do you know what I'm talking about? Is it 191, 192?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the issues, though.
I think it's 191, 192, or 190, 191. It's where pretty much New York is turned upside down. And, it's a villain from, what is his name? Kulon something. Kulon Goth. Kulon something.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. That's the villain that was either in Conan, or the rights are now owned by Red Sonja, which is Dynamite. If it's a Conan villain, then it's okay. We can get these issues 190 and 191. But if it's a Red Sonja villain, then we might have problems with that.
But haven't they reprinted all these issues within like Epics?
Thank you. Oh, you're right. I forgot about Masterworks. So you're absolutely right.
So they're okay somewhere. So there shouldn't be any issue with collecting all that stuff. I just, like, as I was putting together my map, I was like,
thank you, Michael.
What if that's why it's taken a while, is because of the Micronauts issues? I doubt it. It's a pipe dream. I really doubt it will happen, but how cool would that be?
Oh, man. No kidding, right? Me too, dude. So my mapping's a little different. I took it from 176 to 193, including the annual 8. I agree with that. Including X-Men and Alpha Flight 1 and 2. But I wouldn't do the Asgardian stuff yet. The Arthur Adams crossover. I would leave annuals 9 and 10 for the second volume. Or for the 5th volume. Include Kitty Pryde and Wolverine and Marvel Fanfare 40. And the big one, I think, if I'm going to end it with 193, I would include Firestar 1 through 4. Including Firestar 1 through 4, the miniseries, I think will, flesh out that omnibus.
For Volume 4 or Volume 5?
Volume 4. Because if 193 is the big fight with the New Hellions, right? Where Thunderbird makes his first appearance and things like that.
Yeah.
And Firestar's a member of that team. So that's why I was including Firestar 1 through 4 in my mapping. So yes, Damien Stark has confirmed those issues have been collected. So cool. We're cool with the Dire Wraiths and we're cool with Kulon Goth. So awesome. Except for Micronauts.
Yeah.
Micronauts versus the X-Men has never been collected. And maybe one day. So that's where I would end it at 193, leaving 194 to 209, plus the long shot miniseries, plus Beauty and the Beast. I may include Iceman in this one. Do you remember the Iceman miniseries? It was a 4-issue miniseries
by DeMatteis.
Yeah, yeah. I think I would include it in Volume 4. So it's going to be interesting to see how wrong we are.
Yeah,
I mean, they could be awesome, and Marvel's like, nope, let's give it all. Let's map it all the way to the Mutant Massacre. But that would be one thick book, including all the stuff we're talking about, including the long shot miniseries, the annual 10, all that stuff. It would be a huge, huge book. So I was playing it safe, and I split it up into two.
Yeah, I
Realistically, I think that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a
I
volume
have
4 and 5.
I think that there's going to be another volume, but I don't think it's going to be 5. I think it's going to be like a Road to Mutant Massacre. Oh, speaking of that issue, I
Love
have
that
that.
issue. What about Obnoxio the Clown? Can we get some love for Obnoxio the Clown versus the
Yeah,
X-Men? That one shot, right?
I gotta go in like 2 seconds here, but look, I got the State Fair and
Yeah, see, you know
Obnoxios.
what's up. Put
So
those in there, man.
real
Put those
quick
in those omni. Go
before I
ahead.
leave, because I my wife's screaming for me to come downstairs. I think that it's not going to be a volume 5. I think it's going to be a Mutant Massacre prologue type book, and I think that it's going to include the issues of X Factor that preceded that, as well as like all the crossover issues that led into X Factor
So
starting.
you don't think we'll have an X Factor omnibus because of that? Because I mean, issues of X Factor are through the pages of Mutant Massacre, Fall of the Mutants, and Inferno, and the Inferno
Yep,
prologue.
all the way from issues 1 through 40 are all across all of those hardcovers. So I don't think, and because they rely so heavily on the tie-ins that they're related to, I don't think they'll do a single omnibus for just X Factor. But that's me. Don't shoot. I love the story. I just don't think they'll do their own omnibus since all that other stuff is out there.
Man, if that's the
But
case, then we'll have to get a Judgment War oversized hardcover.
all right, man.
One
Well, I
day. You
gotta
take
peace
off.
out. I appreciate the invite here, and
Slap that shit.
I want to talk about when we find out what's in these books. I want to talk again, so we
Sure,
can mount
we'll
the
do
next
a
one.
we'll see how wrong and off we were.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right,
Uh,
man.
Peace out, man. And
Peace.
thank you everyone for joining us for this live episode. This was a lot of fun. I love that everybody chimed in with their ideas or what they would add or take away from these omnis. There's 15 coming, and it's going to be an awesome next couple of weeks. As soon as I get the solicitations, the advanced catalog, I'll be doing a live episode with you all, and I'll have somebody join me for that. So it'll be really cool to see how close we were to some of these and how far off we were. Like I said, this Excalibur omnibus could be a Warren Ellis omnibus. We don't know. So you don't think the Uncanny volumes will go past Mutant Massacre omnibus? This is a really good question. Damn it. Okay, so I'm thinking, for those of you that aren't familiar with the stuff, the X-Men, the original 60s X-Men have been collected in 2 omnis. It's just called the X-Men Omnibus Volume 1 and 2. Giant size, restarted everything. It's a whole new cast, whole new creative team, and that is collected in Uncanny X-Men 1. And then moving forward, that's what this kind of modern, or it's not even modern anymore, but the modern age of X-Men is known as the Uncanny X-Men years. So, boomer, dude, I'm Generation X, baby. Too young to be a boomer. Wish I had that damn Social Security money. Anyway, what I was saying was, I think with Uncanny X-Men Volume 4, if, like Riley said, if they don't do a Volume 5, it'll be called the Prelude, kind of like they did an Inferno prologue. It'll be a Mutant Massacre prologue. So if they do that, then we can just follow those omnis. So it will be the X-Men Mutant Massacre omnibus, the Fall of the Mutants omnibus, whenever that gets reprinted. I'm thinking if that Fall of the Mutants oversized hardcover gets reprinted, it will be an omnibus format. And then the Inferno prologue, that's going to be interesting because X-Men Inferno is probably the most, now it's the longest out of print X-Men omnibus size book. It was an oversized hardcover, but I mean, really, it's an omnibus, right? And that's been out of print. Hot, god damn! I want to say, when was the big glitch of 2010? Is when I got it from Barnes and Noble. So it's been out of print for almost about 10 years. When that comes back into print, I'd love to see that as an omnibus instead of an oversized hardcover. So that's what I want to see. I don't know about you all. And then that takes us after that to the X-Men by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont omnibus, which is getting reprinted. And then the Extinction Agenda. By the way, those Extinction Agenda and the Days of Future Present hardcover, those aren't collected in those omnis. So if you want Extinction Agenda, it's not an X-Men by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee Volume 1 or 2. So what you'll need in between is the Days of Future Past hardcover and the Extinction Agenda hardcover. So keep that in mind if you're getting those two. And then that takes us into the Bishop's Cross. I'm about to put your ass in timeout for that comment alone. I don't mind being called a boomer. Claremont's not that good? Right. The guy only sold 17 years. No, not even going to get into that argument. And that takes us into the Bishop's Crossing Executioner song. And honestly, what I was thinking about doing is doing an updated comprehensive reading order of X-Men. But I was like, should I wait until the 4th omnibus comes out, or should I just go ahead and do it? So I don't know. Maybe leave those comments down below if you do want me to go ahead and do it. Again, check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com. Hit that like, subscribe button, notifications, Redbubble, Patreon, all that good stuff. So thank you very much for watching. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.